Today is the day, everyone. I get to have my very first go on the 2025 Suzuki Hayabusa. I've been looking forward to this for such a long time, and it's all thanks to Fraser's Motorcycles. If you live in the Gloucestershire area or the surrounding counties, definitely go and check them out if you're looking to buy any new or used motorcycles. They've got a huge showroom, loads available, and loads of demos to try out right now, including the Hayabusa here. If you haven't gathered, everyone, today is a very hot day. It's 33 degrees right now, so you are going to have to bear with me whilst I catch my breath. All I've been doing is taking pictures and stuff for like Instagram and thumbnails and what have you, and that's already knackered me out, you know, in this heat, wearing my leathers and everything. My goodness. Now, in terms of the looks, you guys, I think this is a fantastic looking motorcycle. I never really thought much of the second and first generation in terms of the way they looked, but this one, they've really dialed it in. And for me, it's got that classic look still. You can definitely tell it's a Hayabusa, but it's modernized and it looks absolutely amazing. Now, unfortunately today my phone is overheating just from taking a few pictures, so I'm not able to get a second view of this bike whilst I get on it and what have you, but I've got lots of pictures to show you. But let's have a little listen to the soundtrack. And I've just noticed as well the pillion pair's got a bit of rubber on there for grip. That's a really nice touch. Hadn't noticed that before. But what a bike, you guys. In the 15-20 minutes or so I've been riding this bike, wow, it's already left an impression on me. But here we go, let's have a little listen. Stock exhaust, you guys. She sounds really neat. And of course this bike's got two exhausts. Let's have a look on the other side. Wow, what a nice sound from a stock system. Hope you guys don't mind with a shortened intro today. I just really want to feel that wind on my face. But in terms of ergonomics, straight off the bat, you guys, this is a very sporty riding experience. I actually think it's sportier than the Blackbird and the GSX-1300. Although we're not going to be making too many comparisons to those two bikes today, I'm going to leave that for another video. This one is all about the Hayabusa. If there are some relevant bits and pieces of information that from the other bikes that would make sense, then of course I'll slot those in as well. But yeah, this is the Hayabusa show today. And first impression, just 20 minutes in, I am very impressed, you guys. Even though it's lacking on horsepower from the second generation, it's still got the same amount of torque, and that arguably is what most important. Jesus Christ, the bike's reading 37 degrees right now. It will probably cool down a little bit, but still, being stationary today is not an option if I can help it. I've got to hope today that none of the cameras give out from overheating as well. So it's really important to keep the bike moving as much as I can. But I'm shooting this video on a Friday, just after school kick-out time and just before rush hour, so whew, the odds are truly against me today, everyone. But that's the thing, I don't want to be distracted by the temperature today, because as much as maybe in my voice it's not coming through as much as I would like it to, this bike is hella fun, man. I mean, in the UK you'd probably consider this a sport touring bike, but this is certainly leaning towards more so the super sport side of things, and I love it for that. The fact that it's got all of that nice juicy torque in the lower end of the RPMs all the way through the rev range. It's not like a traditional super sport where you've got to spool it up to get any power out of it. It just has buckets of power right from the onset. It's a hella fun bike, man, and I hope that today's ride out will speak for itself, and it will more than make up for the fact that I'm gonna seriously struggle today. So before we jump into a 0 to 60 run or two, let's go over some specs. So this is the 2025 Suzuki Hayabusa. It's running a 1300cc inline 4-cylinder engine, which is producing around about 185 horsepower at the crank rather, and 150 newton meters of torque, all whilst weighing in quite a hefty 264 kilograms wet. So she is a heavy girl. She is producing a little bit less torque and a little bit less horsepower than the second generation Hayabusa, but in comparison to the ZZR, she feels very similar to the ZZR in terms of the torque, the throttle response, and the top end horsepower. Right, let's go ahead and do a 0 to 60 run here. We'll see if we can fit in a good 2 or 3. Now it's got to be under 3 seconds, surely, around about that 3-second mark. I've got the full power mode on, or the number 1 power mode, and traction control level 1, which I believe is the least invasive or least interruptive, shall we say, of the traction control modes. Alright, let's see if I can do it as close as possible to the ZZR. Right, we are on a 60 mile/hour road here. Here we go. Woo! Oh man, that's so smooth. That's such a smooth 0 to 60, you guys. Keeping this front end down is so easy. I imagine that's because of the long wheelbase and that weight. Right, let's do another one. Here we go. Oh yeah. Annoyingly, that traction control is kicking in just before the front wheel comes up off the ground. Alright, let's do one more. Here we go. Best one yet, come on. Oh no. Interestingly, the traction control there, it did allow me to pick up the front wheel and hold it off the ground whilst I was accelerating, but unfortunately I think that final 0 to 60 there was probably the worst one, as the clutch just jerked out ever so slightly. But still, this is a very quick bike, you guys. Even though it's missing a little bit of horsepower and torque, this is still ridiculously quick, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's around about the same 0 to 60 and quarter-mile time of the second generation Hayabusa, which had 200 horsepower, and I think it was like 155 or 160 newton meters of torque, something like that. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But an incredibly quick bike, and this definitely gives my ZZR-1400 a run for its money, especially in 0 to 60. In quarter-mile, this bike might suffer a little bit against my ZZR, because my ZZR's got that top-end 210 horsepower with the ram air, and that top-end horsepower is going to be pulling just a little bit harder, this ZZR, than the Hayabusa here. But still, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a sub 10 second quarter-mile bike, you guys. Maybe like a 9.7, 9.8, 9.9 quarter-mile, whereas ZZR is getting close to that 9.5 0 to 60, excuse me, that 9.5 quarter-mile. But the main thing, really, where this bike is shining is in the tech package, you guys. It's so up to date. It's got the traditional tachometer, speedometer, just like the second and first gen Hayabusa, so it's not letting those features go, but it's got a nice little TFT color dash in the middle there, which for me is a really nice touch. And I mean, in a second here we'll take a look at the dashboard and what it can do, but of course you've got the time, you've got the ambient temperature, you've got your odometer there. 500 miles, guys, on this bike. I'm getting the rawest experience possible in 2025 here. on the Hayabusa. Man, what an honor it is to be riding this bike. So you've got the cruise control, but interestingly the cruise control button is on this side as opposed to this side. They probably could have fit it in at the top here, but it doesn't matter, just something to get used to. But you've got the set, reset, mode, and kind of these up or down buttons all in this same unit cluster here. But you've got rider mode A, B, C, and I imagine that this one is the custom rider mode, which I'm guessing you get to program and then keep. I'm guessing the bike stores it. You've got 3 different user modes. You can hit mode like that to change the power. Once we're here, let's put it in power control 3, and look, you've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 levels of traction control. That's a lot of granularity, and I believe that the wheelie control on this bike is wired into the traction control. Unfortunately, it's not separate as far as I'm aware. But then you've got your battery voltage at the bottom there, you've got your time, or your trip, sorry, your MPG. Yeah, quite a lot of nifty little bits and pieces of information there that are very, very handy and very, very granular. It's nice to have loads more traction control levels than the old-fashioned 3. Now that's in the lowest power mode with the highest traction control mode. I'm guessing this is kind of like the equivalent of a rain mode or something to that effect, and it really does make a difference. It's probably around about half the total power of the bike. I mean, that was first gear before. I mean, it's good though, once you get into the top end of the RPMs, it does still allow you to get a nice amount of power there. But in the lower end, yeah, you're really suffering. Oh, and it lets me change the power levels and the traction control on the fly. That's awesome. That's really good. So we've got the power control 2, which kind of the medium power mode. So I'm guessing that's around about 75% of full power, so around about 140 horsepower or so. And yeah, that's a nice compromise, I think. If you're looking to buy one of these bikes but you're really like nervous about that's quite cool actually, because that traction control level, I'll get back to the power levels in a minute, but that traction control there, even though that's the lowest traction control level that you can get, the most interruptive, is about the same as the number 1 traction control mode on my ZZR-1400. Very interesting. But yeah, if you're looking to buy one of these bikes but you're nervous about the power of the bike, it really does give you that opportunity to break yourself in to how the bike is going to feel in terms of power. And yeah, this bike has got buckets of power. So starting off on that lower power mode, that power mode 3, I mean, let's see if it's got any more than that. No, it's definitely just 3 different power modes. But yeah, if it's something that's worrying you, it gives you a really good opportunity to get used to the bike. And then as you get more comfortable, more confident with it, you can slowly increase those power levels to get as much fun as possible out of this bike. Yeah, the medium power control, buckets of power, really nice. And I think a nice intermediate power mode between the low and the high. The throttle response is a little bit more subdued until you start going up the RPMs, whereas power mode 1, interesting, okay. So the traction control levels here are playing a little bit more of a part in this than just the power modes. That is absolutely fascinating, you guys. because that throttle response really wasn't snatchy at all. It felt kind of the same between the 3 power modes here with that highest traction control. Let's bump that up to 5. And it's still quite interruptive in third gear, not so much in second. Interesting. So it looks like the traction control modes, they don't just interfere with the wheelie control and the traction control, they also might interfere a little bit with the overall throttle response and the throttle feel. It's amazing though, I'm in third gear and I can cruise on this 50-mile-an-hour road. I mean, let's go ahead. Got to be up into 6th. Oh my goodness, yeah, you're really cruising here. 2,500 RPM, 45, 50 mile an hour. This bike's gear's pretty long. Pretty long indeed. It should help you on those longer journeys with that MPG for sure. But if you want that extra little bit of throttle response, then yeah, you're going to want to be in those lower gears. Oh man, it's interesting. So the twisty throttle, you've got a little bit of give and then it goes. So even though this is an electronic throttle, it's not all or nothing. It does give you the opportunity to feather the throttle, to roll it on. It's a nice throttle on a bike of this caliber with this kind of power. Suzuki could have tuned this to just be totally on or off, and they've chosen to make it a little bit more rider friendly, which is also an amazing thing about this bike. Despite all of its power and furiosity, it's still perfectly streetable. That's the amazing thing about these super heavyweights, is that because you've got all that power to play with in those lower end RPMs, it really helps you out at legit road speeds. You don't have to be riding everywhere ridiculously fast, and I love that about these bikes. Traction control level 1. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now I haven't spoken much about comfort, but despite this bike being very sporty, it's surprisingly comfortable. The little stock handlebar riser that it's got here is very fit for purpose. You still get that sporty feel, although it gives you a little bit of a respite going over the handlebars. The seat is incredibly comfortable, you guys. This is such a nicely designed seat, especially because it's a separate seat. Usually the combined rider and passenger seats tend to be a little bit more comfortable, whereas the separate seats, they always seem to give you that little bit of extra sporty feel, you know. So it's nice that there hasn't been too much of a compromise there between the comfort and the sportiness of the motorcycle. I'm just going to try out the cruise control here. I've just got it set just so I can give this throttle hand a little bit of a rest here. And yeah, it works perfectly good. In third gear, it's nice that they've integrated that because of that long gearing that you're getting on this bike. You're still able to cruise at these lower speeds. It's nice. It's a nice feature. In fact, this bike's got the quick shifter. The quick shifter as well. That's a lovely addition. You've got adjustable clutch, hydraulic clutch, adjustable brake lever. That's amazing. Fully adjustable suspension and rear shock, I believe. I haven't looked at it, but my god, this bike is a fully decked out package. But you are paying for it, alright? This is an expensive flagship level motorcycle from Suzuki. you're looking to pay about 17 grand, maybe closer to 18 grand on the road. But yeah, it's going to be between that 17 and 18,000 pounds is what you're looking at for one of these bikes. But that is such a lot of money, and I think on sale these bikes are going for about 16 or 15,000 pounds, you guys. That's so much bike for the money. And remember, the Kawasaki ZR-1400 is going for a very similar price, brand new in the United States, and yet it's got a hell of a lot less features than the Hayabusa. Can I do a quick shift? Ah, that's a shame. So I do a quick shift, but it won't keep my cruise control, probably for good reason. But what a bike, you guys. It's an amazing motorcycle, and after getting that little bit of wind in my face, I have been able to cool myself down nicely. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to fit in another couple of videos on this bike today. But my god, what a motorcycle this is, you guys. This definitely gets my seal of approval. This is such an amazing bike, honestly. Just the sheer power, the sheer horsepower, the torque, the look, the ergonomics, and that tech package is amazing. But let's have a little listen to that soundtrack one last time. God, that sounds nice. That's all the way up to 11,000 RPM. What a motorcycle this is, you guys. It's awesome. And I was a little bit worried going into this that I'd be a little bit disappointed, because everyone goes on about the Hayabusa. You know, it used to be the fastest motorcycle in the world. It still is one of the fastest motorcycles in the world. But honestly, I have to say, after spending this half hour, 45 minutes with the bike so far, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time on it. It's been amazing. The hype is real, you guys. So if you've got 15, 16, 17, 18 grand burning in your pocket, I'd heavily recommend picking up one of these bikes. It's the only super heavyweight motorcycle that you can buy from new here in the UK, and that makes it special. Thank you ever so much for joining us on our ride review today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's encouraged you to maybe look at buying one of these motorcycles, because again, despite the appearances, despite its looks, it's still perfectly streetable and perfectly enjoyable, you guys. But thanks again to Fraser's Motorcycles. If you're looking to buy a motorcycle and you live in the Gloucestershire area or the surrounding counties here in the UK, definitely go and check them out. And when you do, don't forget to say hello from me. But thank you guys as well for joining us today. As always, please go ahead, leave that like, hit that subscribe button down there and that notification bell so you don't miss any more ride reviews from us. Thank you again. You guys, you take care. You ride safe. We'll catch you all in the next video. Have a good one.